Paul's second letter to the Corinthians picks up where the first left off, but it goes even deeper. If First Corinthians was Paul as a spiritual father correcting his children, Second Corinthians is Paul pulling back the curtain and letting them see his heart. After writing the first letter from Ephesus, Paul had gone through a season of deep distress. There had been conflict, opposition, uncertainty, and he even mentions being burdened beyond what he could bear. But when Titus brought back news that the Corinthians had responded well, especially to the rebuke of his earlier letter, Paul was encouraged. And what follows in Second Corinthians is perhaps the most emotional and transparent of all his letters. Paul's purpose here isn't just to defend his apostleship, it's to reconcile relationships. Some were still skeptical of him. They were stirred up by false teachers who questioned his motives and mocked his suffering. But Paul doesn't argue with his status. He doesn't appeal to his power. He appeals to his pain. He points them to his scars. He says, if I must boast, I will boast of the things that show my weakness. And that's what makes this letter so timeless. It's not a list of church issues. It's a revelation of how God uses clay jars to carry his treasure. It's the letter where Paul says we are hard pressed on every side, but not crushed. Where he admits he begged God to remove his thorn in the flesh, but God said, my grace is sufficient. That's not just theology. That's real life. That's maturity. That's perfecting yourself in the Lord. Paul also encourages the Corinthians to follow through on their commitment to give generously to the poor saints in Jerusalem. But even that isn't about money. It's about unity. It's about integrity and the kind of love that sacrifices. But more than anything, Paul is calling them and us back to the heart of the gospel, and that is reconciliation. He pleads, be reconciled to God. This letter reminds us that ministry can be messy and leaders get hurt too. But through all of the wounds and weariness, God's strength is made perfect. So meditate on this letter. Imitate Paul. Perfect yourself in the Lord. And as always, go lift somebody up.